Hello and welcome to The Buzz, your source for all things campus news and entertainment. My name is Bryant Bauer, your campus news host, and later on in the show, I'll be joined by Andrew Sloboda for your entertainment segment. Stay tuned, you're watching The Buzz.
No more pencils, no more books.
No more teachers, dirty looks.
School's out for summer.
What this place needed was better graduation rates. So we worked with schools like Henry Ford High, and now they're up 18%.
To help us do more good this year, go to unitedway.org because great things happen when we live united.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
On October 29th, Waynesburg had its Pumpkin Fest on the third floor of the Stover Center, where students had the opportunity to enjoy a variety of treats, including pumpkin pie, pumpkin cookies, and other treats. For more on the story, we go to Ian Popovich.
Students got creative this past Monday by coming together for this year's Pumpkin Fest event on the third floor of Stover. Students came to carve or decorate pumpkins and figurines in their own unique ways, all while enjoying pumpkin-themed treats and warm apple cider. Most of the students in attendance enjoyed painting the clay figurines, mentioning that it was more fun to paint than to carve. It was relaxing, and the attention to detail made it more interesting. There were a good number of pumpkins available to carve, and most decided to paint over them as well. But there was a large number in attendance, and hopefully it will be the same next year. I'm Ian Popovich, reporting for WCTV, Channel 14 News.
The Beehive hosted its Halloween bingo on Halloween night. For a chance to win candy and other prizes, students who came dressed up in a costume were able to participate in special bingo. For more on the spooktacular event, we now go to Ian Popovich.
Students were excited on October 31st as Student Services organized a bingo night for everyone. The theme was, of course, Halloween, and most of the students in attendance dressed up in their desired costumes. There were a lot of different characters at the event, and creative freedom was definitely the fun aspect of it. Some students went big, and others came with a simple idea. The special part of this particular bingo night was the costume contest, and special prizes given away to those in costume, and those who won Best Looking Costume won goodie buckets. Competition was also a big one of this bingo night, as there were a lot of prizes available to win, but none were worth more to students than the wool blankets. They were the first to go when someone got a bingo. In the end, students got to enjoy a wonderful Halloween this year, and with how well this event went, I can't imagine them not doing it again next year. I'm Ian Popovich, reporting for WCTV, Channel 14 News.
On November 6th, the Stover Center held an ethnic food fair with Chef Steel Pan Dan, where students could try a multitude of eccentric foods from all over the world. Ian Popovich has more on this tasty affair.
Students and faculty were pointed towards the third floor of Stover for a special ethnic food fair. The food fair was hosted by the students in Professor Beth Mary's cross-cultural communication class, where each student of the class helped prepare different dishes from a few different regions around the world. Everyone was excited and lined up to try many of the tasty dishes. Students from the class served those in attendance and explained what each dish was, along with the region it originated from. There were many in attendance, and students enjoyed eating with friends while also listening to some ethnic music to keep the mood feeling lighthearted and relaxing. The food was good, the atmosphere was fitting, and students were happy to have crafted dinner made with the purpose of trying new things. I'm Ian Popovich, reporting for WCTV, Channel 14 News.
From November 7th to the 10th, the fall play The Boys Next Door by Tom Griffin was performed in the G-Pack. Ian Popovich was there at the play, and we now go to Ian for more on Waynesburg University's fall play this year.
The fall play happened last week as performers got ready to put on a great performance for students, faculty, and locals in the area. When doors opened, the floor filled and had a great number of people in attendance. Professor Powers made a quick announcement to the audience to not only turn off their phones, but to thank everyone for showing up and supporting what the students and him enjoy doing. The play was The Boys Next Door by Tom Griffin, and the story focused around 4 mentally disabled boys in a comedy that played off from their shenanigans. The story does take a turn in tone, but you would have had to see it to find out what happened. The play left audiences entertained, and I believe that the play and the students deserved the standing ovation it received. I'm Ian Popovich, reporting for WCTV, Channel 14 News.
And that wraps up campus news. After the break, entertainment host Andrew Sloboda will have your entertainment news. Stay tuned, you're watching The Buzz.
Hey, you going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you. Come look at Mr. Feather. Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember? Bark, bark, bark. We're just playing. We're just trying to get you out of here.
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Hello and welcome back to The Buzz. I'm Andrew Sloboda, your entertainment host, and let's dive into the world of sales for a minute. The recent video game Red Dead Redemption 2 destroys sales in its opening weekend with $725 million worldwide and became the second largest 3-day sale of a video game, with number 1 being Rockstar's previous game Grand Theft Auto 5, staying on top with $1 billion in sales. The game also was the most pre-ordered game of all time on the PlayStation Network. Red Dead Redemption 2 is expected to sell even more copies in the next few weeks as the online capability will be available soon. With October over and gone, the time of horror films for the year is finally at an end. The recent reboot of the horror classic Halloween earned a whopping $76 million opening weekend, coming second as the largest R-rated horror film of all time, the first being 2017's It. This new movie in the franchise, which is number 11 in the series, ignores literally every other movie in the franchise except for the original Halloween movie. Taking place exactly 40 years later, Michael Myers returns to exact his revenge on the town in a murder spree that puts all others to dust. So far, the movie has earned $183 million worldwide and has earned almost 20 times its $10 million budget. In the world of music, 21 Pilots' new album, Trench, came in second on the top charts in its opening release debut weekend, falling behind the previous album Blurry Face, which debuted in 2015 at number 1. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper's A Star Is Born movie album came in at number 1 in front of 21 Pilots. The 14-track album is set to stay at the top 5 spots for some time as popularity grows within the band. In comic book news, Marvel announced earlier this week that the official trailer for the still untitled Avengers 4 would be released before the end of 2018. With one more Marvel film set for release in December, Marvel's animated film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, many anticipate the trailer to be attached to the release of the film. As for any specifics on the trailer, well, unfortunately there aren't any. Many rumors have spread across the internet for what the trailer is, of course, but nothing is confirmed, and so we'll just have to wait. In other superhero news, Ian McGregor, best known as Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars prequel trilogy, as well as Christopher Robin in the recent same-title movie, is in talks to be on the final list for the DC movie Birds of Prey as the villain known as Black Mask. Now, much is still unknown as this information was just recently released, but many fans are nonetheless still very excited. And finally, in celebrity gossip news, Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson have begun rebuttals against each other over their recent breakoff of engagement. Pete Davidson made a joke regarding the failed engagement on SNL with Jonah Hill. After meeting musical guest Maggie Rogers, Pete proposed jokingly, and after being declined, he muttered, "Oh well, 0 for 3, I guess." Grande took to Twitter for her response. She said, and quote, "For somebody who claims to hate relevancy, you sure love clinging to it, huh?" she wrote, adding, "Thank you, next." And that's all we have on entertainment. When we come back, we'll take some time and discuss what you just heard. Stay tuned.
Rough day, huh? Hey, rough day, huh? Maybe this will make you feel better. I made some apple fritters. Welcome home.
Thank you, I really needed this today.
I didn't realize what a fine line it is between social drinking and a problem. I hadn't even noticed what was happening, and then he was gone. Hi, honey. He's gone.
Welcome back to The Buzz. Now comes the discussion segment of the show where Andrew and I will discuss the issues surrounding the entertainment industry and the stories you just heard. So Andrew, give me your take on Red Dead Redemption 2, the biggest video game probably in the past 5 years.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. This is a video game that many people, old and young, like everyone is very excited about this game. Who doesn't love a Western?
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
So you get to run around, ride horses, shoot guns, and like be in a gang. So it's really cool. And so a lot of people have been waiting for this video game because it was announced, I think, 2 years ago. And people knew they were probably working on it long before then. But people are just very excited.
Yeah.
I myself don't personally own the game yet, but that's because I'm a broke college student.
As am I.
So I'm hoping, you know, fingers crossed, like, you know, I'll get some money eventually and buy it. But
so Red Dead Redemption 2 has a story that is over 60 hours long, and the average adventure game is about 20 hours. And what feeds into that and why it's so long is there were reports that employees at Rockstar were working 100-hour weeks to get this game ready for its release date. So with any new game or anything at all, some controversy comes with it. Do you think the controversy is worth it from what you've read about the game so far?
You know, I did read some of that as well. I did hear that they were working like very long overtime style weeks, and I don't know. I guess it's just the industry, you know. When you're in a position where it's crunch time and you got to get down to the nitty gritty and like get everything done because you're on a set time clock. Like you got to stay in there and put in the work. You know, that's the same with journalism and like things like that. You know, when the paper comes out in the morning and you got to finish your story, like there's nothing you can do. You got to stay there until you get your story done. So,
exactly.
I mean, it makes sense. I understand why people are like, that's ridiculous, but I mean, they signed up for it.
Yeah,
so.
They did.
Plus, they're working on a great game. So,
and then they have not released the online version with their last game, GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto 5. it was almost a year before the online came out. Do you think it'll be the same time frame?
You know, who knows? Yeah, it was about like 6 to 8 months for Rockstar to release the online for GTA 5. I do remember that just because there were so many people that were like, "Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous." And so, I don't know. I think Rockstar just wants people to enjoy the story before they give people the chance to play online.
Yeah, definitely. Switching topics to another big blockbuster, Halloween, the new sequel to the Jamie Lee Curtis movie back in the 1980s. Did you see the movie?
The new one? Kind of.
Kind of. We'll leave it there.
I won't give away anything. I saw it kind of.
Okay.
But everything that I saw, I very much enjoyed.
Yeah.
It was weird though, just because I'm a big fan of the franchise.
Yeah, me too.
And so the fact that they literally just scrapped everything from all the other movies, basically, almost like a soft reboot in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's still like it was still the same characters. And it focused on, it just makes a little less sense in my opinion. Like, if you take the Halloween movies that Jamie Lee Curtis was in previously, and then you take this on top of that, I think it would make such a better story, because it's like, the premise of the movie is like Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Laurie, I think, she's been like preparing for this moment for like 40 years.
40 years, yeah.
And it's like after one night of like a guy trying to kill her, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Now, when there's multiple movies of him coming after her, that makes sense. You know, like, okay, well, I'm going to prepare because when the inevitable happens, like, I'm going to get him. But this one, it was like, oh, this guy attacked me one time, so I better like prepare for the next 40 years and sacrifice my sanity. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, personally, I like that they ignored all the other movies.
Really?
Because I thought, in simple terms, all the other movies were garbage.
Most of them were.
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong.
So I liked how they were just like, we don't want those being considered to be canon anymore, and they just made a sequel. But at the end of this one, they did tease a sequel, and I'm not for that. I think they should just keep it where it is.
Yeah, but you know, it's the movie industry. You know, they're always going to try and do a soft reboot in many ways. You know, they've done that with Halloween. I don't think they've done it with Freddy Krueger in a while. But
no, not for a while.
But they constantly reboot the Friday the 13th franchise. The Halloween franchise has been through like a different reboot like almost every decade.
They had a reboot.
Yeah, with Rob Zombie's take. Yeah, so, I mean, personally, I think this would be a good end to the franchise, but we all know it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it won't happen. We're going to switch topics again. Let's go to 21 Pilots' new album, Trench, after their 3-year hiatus. Did you like the album?
I loved the album.
Did you like it?
Yeah, no, I definitely was a big fan.
I personally did not listen to the album. I used to be big in the 21 Pilots, and then I kind of burnt myself out because listening to them too much. So I never...
Oh yeah, they took over the radio.
They did.
Like in 2015 when that album came out, like almost 2 years consecutively, you could hear a 21 Pilots song on the radio.
Yeah, constantly.
So yeah, I get where you're coming from. I liked this album, and I kind of forgot it was coming out.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't really listening to 21 Pilots or that style of like indie punk music. And whenever I found out, I was like, oh my gosh, 21 Pilots album is coming out like in 2 weeks. I was like, okay, like I'm excited. And I listened to a couple of their released singles from the album, and I was like, okay, no, this is cool. Like I feel like this is a fresh step for them. And most of the songs I think are really good, and they stay true to like themselves, and it's not like other artists who have like pretty rough albums here and there. You know, Eminem's controversial 2017 album was pretty rough. But, you know, Snoop Dogg has had a couple rough albums here and there. So I think this one was a solid step for them.
They did, I heard from people I've talked to that the album had a new sound opposed to Blurry Face and the other ones they had before. You listening to the album, do you think that's true, or do you think it's still more of the same?
I think it's almost like they're looking back on themselves in a sense. It's like they're trying to like push for like a newer sound and try and keep like with the times. But at the same time, there are some songs that on the album that I look back on and like would listen to, and I was like, okay, that sounds a lot like some of their
Yeah.
older stuff, you know? There's this song, it's literally called Pet Cheetah. 21 Pilots has the weirdest names for songs, but and I was like, okay, this kind of sounds like a mix between their older stuff, like before Blurryface, and they're like this, like a newer take. And it wasn't bad, you know? I mean, everyone's always going to complain, you know, about something.
Commenting on the Apple Music charts, as of last night, the album has dropped to number 29 on the charts. Yeah, but most albums don't have a large, I guess you could call it shelf life at number 1.
Yeah,
because you get new albums coming out almost every week.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the new albums that came out last night were Swizz Beatz came out with a new album again, and that rose up. But moving on to another part of the entertainment industry is Marvel Avengers 4. New trailer coming up at the end of the year. Also reports that this movie could be over 3 hours long.
Also true. Yeah, I heard both of those. I'm very excited. I'm also very, I don't know. They've got me hooked because they haven't released the title for the film, and I was reading Reddit because, you know, that's what most weird fanboys do. I was on Reddit, and there was a guy on there that was like, what if they never release the title of the movie until like it's on DVD? Well, and I was like, that's impossible. But then he like goes in detail to describe the plan, and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's like a 10% chance that could work. Yeah. And so now my head's just like rambling of like, what is this title? Like, why can't I know? Yeah. So what are your thoughts on it?
I've been a huge Marvel fan. Me and my brother go see every new movie that comes out on the midnight release. If we can both get there and both align our schedules, we're there. Yeah. So I'm super excited for this movie. I'm personally very excited. Anytime I see some sort of theory or some sort of leaked trailer pop up, I click on that right away. And sometimes, I think I saw one on Instagram the other day where it looked like it was real, but you could not make out what was happening in it. You just heard a bunch of screaming and just maybe Thanos' voice every now and again. But and whenever some of that comes up, I always jump on it. Like another new report came out. Catherine Langford, she played Hannah Grace in 13 Reasons Why. She was casted in post-production. I read a theory that she was going to be Pepper and Tony's daughter in the future.
I saw that too, So it's just, there's so many theories out there because literally nothing is known about this movie. Everything has been kept high under wraps, which is fine. And, you know, most of the people, like, by this time, they've seen every Marvel movie or, like, they know what's happening. So they're just ready, you know? So if they could honestly, they could release, they wouldn't even have to release the title in the trailer. Yeah. Like, they could still just be like Avengers 4 or whatever. And people would still get psyched and they would go see it. And then, like, maybe in the theaters, it's like, you know, title. And you're like, whoa, that was a sick title. Like, but, like, people are going to go see it regardless of whether or not that's. But 3 hours long, though?
Yeah. I'm all for it.
I mean, I am all for it, but that's like Titanic level.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll just grab a larger popcorn than usual.
You're right.
I'll hunker down for it. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Moving on to another superhero movie, we have Ewan McGregor being casted as Black Mask, confirmed last night for the DC Birds of Prey movie. What do you think about this?
When can I buy tickets? I'm a big fan of Ewan McGregor. I don't know. There's just something about him. He's a solid actor. His voice is almost like that of Morgan Freeman. You're captivated. You're like, oh my gosh, like this man. Like his voice. It's like so charming. Like Morgan Freeman. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'll always see him as Mr. Righteous Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Black Mask is like this notorious like thug and gang leader. So seeing him play him in the Birds of Prey movie, I mean, I'm still excited for it because I haven't seen him in a role for such a long time. But I don't know how I'll receive it because of how much I see him as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'll never stop seeing him as that. But what concerns me the most is the DC universe just falling apart recently. They lost Henry Cavill. They lost Ben Affleck. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if we'll ever really even see this movie. I bet they'll do another universe reboot sooner or later. But I'm not super convinced and sold on this movie yet.
Okay. Yeah. No. Same. It's gotten to the point with DC where I'll believe it. I can't even honestly say I'll believe it when I see a trailer, because even nowadays, you could see a trailer. There was an X-Men movie that was trailered.
Yep, I saw that. It kind of looked like a horror movie.
Yeah, I can't remember
really
the name
excited
of it.
For it.
New Mutants or something like that.
Yeah, and they trashed it.
And it's either been trashed or it's been pushed back
indefinitely.
I think
it's pushed back to 2020 or something like that.
And so I can't even say I'll believe it when I see a trailer, because even that doesn't have any effect. But I mean, I'll believe it when I get more solid evidence. You know? Aquaman is definitely coming out, obviously. Wonder Woman's going to come out, and I'm super pumped about both of those.
I think Wonder Woman was pushed back as well.
It was, indeed. Yeah. It got pushed back, and then it got, moved back up a little bit.
Okay.
So it was coming out in, say, April, and then it was just kidding, coming out in September. And then they're not June. And you're like, okay.
Let's decide, please.
Pick a topic.
Yeah. Going to our last topic, the Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson beef. I want to hear your take on this.
It's so funny. Celebrity gossip is usually not something I'm a big fan of. And normally I don't put things like that on the show when I'm entertainment. But this was just so ridiculous and so absurd that I had to put it
Definitely.
in. The fact that Pete Davidson literally was 0 for 3, that blew my mind. When I watched that, I think I literally was like, oh crap. Did he just say that? And I was watching it on YouTube, because I usually just watch the highlights or whatever. And so I instantly went back. I was like, say it again. And it was I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And then I didn't even know that Ariana, I assumed she would have rebutted, but I didn't see that she took to Twitter right after. And she was her comment too was oops, see you next. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. When I looked a couple nights ago, those tweets have been deleted.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't see them on their timeline recently. When I first watched that video, I wasn't like, oh wow, this is gonna cause so much drama. And I was like, that's kind of funny. And I just kept going. I kept going. But I really liked Pete Davidson before this started. I've only seen one report on this, on why Pete Davidson and Ariana broke up. But it was because Pete Davidson sent explicit pictures of him and Ariana to Mac Miller to say that they're over, they're never getting back together. Pete's with Ariana now. I've only seen that report once.
Wow.
But I haven't seen any other reports on why they broke up. That was the only report I've seen.
Okay.
And Ariana learned that from Mac's family, and then she immediately called it off.
Okay.
But I really don't like Pete Davidson that much anymore because of that. But I didn't know how many people knew that.
Yeah, no. The fact that you said that, my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so low.
Yeah.
If that's true, and you can't really believe everything you hear, but everything's totally plausible.
Yeah.
And so if that's true, wow.
Yeah.
Just wow.
Pete Davidson's a very charismatic guy, and he'll put himself out there. He doesn't really care about the public's perception.
Yeah, it's like Will Ferrell almost.
Yeah, so it doesn't really surprise me. That is all the time we have today on The Buzz. We will see you next time to catch you up on what's buzzing around campus. My name's Bryant Bauer.
And I'm Andrew Sloboda.
We'll catch you next time on The Buzz.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.